My name's Sarah Garlick and I'm the Assistant Director of Student and Campus Life at UWE Bristol, looking after coaching and customer first. I've worked at UWE for nearly 14 years, and actually before that I was a student at UWE Bristol and I accessed the counselling service. So I'd seen the counselling service at UWE Bristol change into the wellbeing service, and I suppose I'd lived through quite a few iterations of how we did service delivery. So our service delivery for counselling was quite challenging, given the numbers that we were seeing. So you went from a counselling service which was similar to private practice to then seeing a huge increase in waiting lists. And I think for the last 5, 6, 7 years, every summer we used to try and adapt the service to see how we could meet the need for students and how we could prevent the waiting list from getting even worse. When we were looking at how we might meet the challenges that we were seeing year on year, and I started to look at the Howden package, actually in those early conversations I was kind of fact checking to say, is this actually real? Because it was ticking a lot of the boxes that I was looking for as head of wellbeing. When I saw it was a 24/7 package, I just thought this is great. You know, this is what we need. It was very hard to keep the right amount of staff working late at night internally, and if someone was off sick, we didn't have any cover. So it really ticked a huge box for me. And then the other huge box it ticked was the desire for an intersectional approach in terms of counselling. So we knew that our wellbeing team lacked the diversity that we needed, and even though we tried to recruit a diverse staff population, we just weren't meeting that requirement. So when I saw the Howden package and they did counsellor matching, and you know that there was such a vast variety of counsellors to pick from, a huge win was the language capability, because again, you know, I've got like GCSE French but nothing else, so that was a real bonus. It is a reactive service. It is, you know, you can pick up the phone and you can speak to somebody. I think for me that's really important. It's not someone in the community that might be thinking about looking for a private counsellor. Students don't want to wait, and nor should they, because a lot more students are isolated. So the fact that they can pick up the phone, or they can get the Wisdom app and see a counsellor on their phone in accommodation, I think there's no way we could have achieved that internally. So that's what I think the key win is that it's very specific to the student context because it's so agile in its delivery. So the Student Assistance Programme has benefited the staff hugely as well. As much as, you know, all of the staff at UWE Bristol care about the students, sometimes there's anxiety about the boundary of pastoral care. Like, what's the remit? If I'm a teacher, what's the remit? Do I talk about mental health? Am I equipped to talk about mental health? So the fact that we could roll out and socialise the SAP across the campus really alleviated that anxiety, because, for example, an academic could say, look, I'm really sorry that you're going through this. Have you tried the Wisdom app? Have you got it on your phone? I can help you download it. And so there was that really nice warm handover, rather than this kind of, well, now I'm going to have to tell someone in the university, I don't know what I've heard, or hearing things in isolation again. And one of the other reassurances, I guess, that the SAP has offered staff is that they can call the SAP and ask for advice if they're sat with a student and say, you know, this is what the student's telling me, what shall I do? Or indeed have a conversation, a bit of a debrief, because sometimes I know it can be a bit heavy to come home from a day of work where you've heard quite a few things. So yeah, it's been really beneficial to the staff, and I think ultimately for our wellbeing service, it's taken that pressure off, so we can still provide some in-house support, but without that looming waiting list shadow kind of cast on us. So it's a bit of a win-win, really. So very proudly, UWE Bristol was the first university to get merit in the University Mental Health Charter by Student Minds. That was a whole university approach to mental health, and I think what I've seen with the SAP is, especially with the Wisdom app, is this ability to sort of roll it out, at scale, so that you have got someone in the Centre for Music saying, have you downloaded the Wisdom app to a student? So in terms of mainstreaming and socialising, it's sort of taken off really to meet that whole university agenda. So I would really recommend Howden and the Student Assistance Programme to other universities. I think what really struck me in the early days when we were having conversations, it felt like I was talking to a colleague that was sort of in it with me. We don't get out much at university. So, when you do make those connections with companies that aren't a university, sometimes it can feel a bit kind of, a bit clunky. But I just felt that I was talking to a colleague and they just got it. So, yeah, it was sort of no questions really. Yeah.